It was 5 a.m. on the 14th of April, in Washington, D.C. when Summer's alarm went off. That's how early she had to wake up ever since she got into law school 3 years ago. But on this particular morning, the alarm didn't wake her, because she had already been awake. Summer had woken up at 3 a.m. that morning. She hadn't even gotten much sleep before then. She had spent the better part of the previous day prepping for her interview. Summer was interviewing at the biggest law firm in Washington, D.C., Barber & Barber LLP, and she couldn't afford to not get in. Barber & Barber offered paid internship spots to law students or recent graduates of law. Summer had been trying to get an internship at a reputable firm, and this opportunity had gracefully fallen on her laps. Summer's friend and roommate at Harvard Law, Ava, had helped Summer secure the interview spot. Ava came from a top political family in Washington, D.C. Her parents had put in a word on Summer's behalf, and she had gotten the interview invite. Barber & Barber had flown Summer from Boston, where her school was, to Washington. It was her first time in the country's capital city. Summer needed this position, and she had every intention to get it. She felt ready mentally. She was, after all, an honors student. She knew the law like the back of her hand, but she was still nervous, which was expected. It was, after all, Barber & Barber. Summer let out a loud yawn after her alarm went off that morning. She walked to the mirror of her hotel room and looked at her eyes. She could see the sleep bags forming under. "Oh well," she said to no one in particular. "My concealer would cover those just fine," but she needed to rest. Maybe just a little. Her interview was for 8 a.m. and the bus was arriving at 7:15 a.m., so she stretched herself on the queen-size hotel bed. The sheets were the softest she had ever slept on, and she closed her eyes. Something told Summer, just at the back of her mind, to turn on her alarm, just for an extra 30 minutes. But she ignored it. "I only need 15 minutes," she said to herself. She closed her eyes, gently, and slept off. Her phone started to ring. She opened her eyes. Damn, she thought. I can't even get 30 minutes of sleep. Who could be calling so early? She stretched her hand to reach under the pillow, where she had buried her phone, and saw the caller ID. It was Ava. "Hi, Ava," she said with a yawn. "Summer? Is that you?" Ava's tiny voice came through from the other end. It held an element of surprise. "Yes, it's me. Who else is going to have my phone at 5:00 in the morning?" Summer liked to get sassy. That was one of her selling points. 5. Ava queried. "What do you mean 5? Okay, let me check. I know it is just a few minutes after 5. I didn't mean it was 5 exactly." Summer took the phone from her ear. She took a look at the time on her phone screen. It was 7:35 a.m. Wait, what? Her eyes widened. What the hell? Her 30 minutes of sleep had stretched by an extra 2 hours. Big deal. Summer sprung up from the bed. "How is it 7:35? She screamed into the phone. "Were you still in bed?" Ava asked from the other end. "Yes. I took a little nap, and I didn't realize how fast the time had gone." "Oh my God, Summer. That's impossible. What happened to your alarm?" "I don't know, Ava. This isn't the time for questions. Please get off the phone. I need to leave now." She sprung out of the bed and started to take off her pajamas. She shot a quick look at the window. How come the sun hadn't gotten into the room? That could have woken her up, but her hotel room had thick dark curtains, and she had shut them tightly. There was no way any sunlight could have gotten into her room. Frantically, she rushed into the bathroom and threw some water on her face. There was no way she could take a shower now. She didn't have the time. She rushed out again. Ava was still on the phone. She had placed her on speaker. "What are you doing now?" "Summer, I'm trying to get dressed." "Ava, you are still going to be late. I can't believe this," Ava cried. She had spoken to her parents particularly to help Summer. It wasn't fair that Summer couldn't get into a firm like that. She was brilliant enough, but simply didn't have the right connections. And in Washington, your connections mattered. Now, this was happening. "Don't you think I know that already? I'm working at quick speed here," Summer barked back. She wasn't usually like this rude or harsh, but her adrenaline had shot up and all caution had gone with the wind. Okay. Ava, take a deep breath. I'm sending a taxi to you now. I'm just going to book one. Okay, thanks. Found one. The cab is getting to you in 7 minutes. Okay, thanks a bunch. I'm done with my suit even. Just need to brush my hair. Okay. Summer, you've got this. Summer grabbed her suitcase and her purse. She took her pumps in her hand and ran out of the hotel. No locking of the hotel room. No nothing. She held her shoes in her hands as she ran out. All courtesy be damned, her taxi was pulling up when she exited the hotel and into the street. It was 7:50 a.m. Summer sprang into the cab, her heart racing as if she had run for the Olympics. The cab ride from her hotel to the law firm was approximately 15 minutes. So by her calculations, she was still going to be 5 minutes late. Oh shit. She got into the cab. Ava was still on the phone. Good luck, Summer. Take deep breaths. Don't let this throw you off, okay? Okay. Thanks, Ava, Summer replied. I'm in the taxi. She confirmed to Ava, who was still on the other end of the call. All right. Take a deep breath, Summer. You are still going to be late, but you can spin this around. Blame it on something. Your cab broke down. Or whatever, Ava suggested. The cabman looked at Summer from his mirror he had heard. Her phone was still on speaker. She smiled at him. Okay, Ava. I hope it works out, thank you. Ava cut off the phone. Summer let out a deep breath. She turned her head and stomped her feet silently. That smell morning breath, she had forgotten to brush her teeth. She searched her briefcase and found what she was looking for. Mint gum. She always had one tucked away. And a breath freshener. She chewed frantically and used her breath freshener. This would do the trick, she thought to herself, and it did. Then she put on her shoes, the ones she had been holding in her hands. Summer also dug into her purse and found her little mirror. She flipped it over, took a look at her face. Sleep bags. Well, it was a good thing she always carried a little makeup purse inside her briefcase. Nothing fancy, just the basics. Lip gloss, concealer, face powder, a little body spray, and breath fresher. Summer pulled out the concealer and applied it a little under her eyes. She put on a little lip gloss as well and smacked her lips. That will do, she said to herself as she pulled a little strand of hair back in place. She closed the purse and sat back in the cab. Then, the cab pulled up at the high-rise building of Barber & Barber. There was a clock attached to the building. Summer's eyes went to it. It was 8:05 a.m. You're late, the receptionist barked at her. Oh well, Summer had expected that. She wasn't surprised. I'm sorry, my cab broke down. She used Ava's suggestion as she told the lie. I couldn't find another one immediately. Well, that doesn't help. Miss Barber is already out of the interview room. There was no way she was going to wait for you. I'll let her know you showed up, though. The receptionist didn't take her head off her computer screen as she delivered her verdict. Please, Summer pleaded. There's no point. This is a reputable firm. The receptionist didn't finish her statement. She stopped mid-sentence as a man approached them. Hello, Mr. Thompson. The receptionist greeted as the man reached them. Summer didn't turn to look at him, but she felt him draw closer. She sniffed his rich perfume as he approached, and heard his husky English voice. Hey, Melanie. Is Miss Barber in yet? Yes, sir. She just left the interview room. Left. Isn't the interview holding anymore? The candidate showed up late, sir? Oh, too bad. Summer turned to him. Sir, I am the candidate. My cab broke down. Then he turned to her. And she took him in with her eyes. Deep, blue eyes. Short, blonde hair. Small nose. Wide grin. Broad. No, very broad shoulders. Strong arms. Long legs. But what was surprising? Summer knew who he was. There standing in front of her, in a navy blue designer suit, was her husband, ex-husband. Hey, he said to her. As their eyes met, Summer opened her eyes wide. He was the one. There was no mistake about it. But he didn't seem to recognize her. And his next statement proved that, "You look familiar." "I just can't place it. Have we met before?" "What the hell?" Her brains were screaming, scratching. He didn't recognize her. Well, she sort of understood. She had changed a lot since the last time she had seen him. "No, we haven't met before." She lied through her teeth, the second lie in the last 3 minutes. Her heart was pounding. Then the man turned to the receptionist. "Tell Ms. Barber to meet her candidate at the interview room. Tell her I said so. I was the one who delayed the candidate at the car park." "What, sir?" "But," the receptionist objected. "Just do it." He insisted and smiled. The receptionist grabbed her receiver grudgingly. She threw Summer a stern look as she dialed her boss. Summer turned away from her and looked back at him. She mouthed the words "thank you" and watched him walk away. Her ex-husband. "You can go in," the receptionist snapped at her again. Summer smiled. "Thank you." She hurried into the office. Ignoring the rude reception she had gotten, her ex-husband had saved the day, Mr. Thompson. But that wasn't what she knew him as. She remembered him as Aaron. But that was currently the least of her worries. Summer hurried into the interview room. She expected to meet an angry or disapproving Miss Barber, but to her surprise, the lady who walked in was cheerful and all smiles. Summer got up to greet her. As she came in, "Oh, take a sit." Miss Barber signaled to her, waving her down. "I'm sorry I'm late. I was held up by Mr. Thompson," she lied. The third time that morning. "Oh, it is fine. My fiancé has a habit of holding lengthy conversations, even with strangers, and refusing to let them go. I understand." "Your fiancé?" Summer queried. "Yes. Aaron and I are engaged. He is a partner at this firm." "I want to believe you already knew that." Summer nodded. The fourth lie she had told. She had researched the firm but hadn't researched its partners extensively. She had mostly focused on the Barbers. Brian Barber, founding partner; Emily Barber, co-founding partner, and wife to Brian; Vivian Barber, youngest partner, and daughter to Brian and Emily. Summer was interviewing with Vivian Barber. The interview started and lasted for 40 minutes. And in that time, Summer successfully convinced Vivian that she was the right fit for the role. Vivian agreed. The role was hers. She was to start in 1 week, along with the other interns that had been chosen. Summer was ecstatic. She couldn't wait to tell Ava. She smiled from ear to ear as she left the office and headed towards the elevator. Then she passed the receptionist. "Thank you. Bye," Summer said. "Hey, wait. Mr. Thompson wants to see you before you leave." The receptionist informed her. "He does?" "Yes. He is in his office. I'll let him know you are ready." "Sure." The receptionist dialed Aaron's office, and soon after, she led Summer to his office. Summer stood by the door. She waited for the receptionist to leave before speaking. "Thank you for helping me out earlier, Mr. Thompson. I appreciate it." "Oh, sure, that's fine. You are welcome." "So how did your interview go?" he asked. "It went well. I got the job. I am to start next week." "Oh, good for you. Congrats." "Thanks, sir. Please, call me Aaron." "Okay." She looked away. "I'm sorry to say this again, but you look oddly familiar. Are you sure we haven't met before?" He walked close to her. She was still standing by the door. Summer wanted to lie, to tell him that they hadn't met at all, but she knew she couldn't. She couldn't lie anymore, not if she had any intention of having a successful career at that firm or any other firm. So she chose to say the truth. "We have met before. Aaron, a long time ago." "Really? I thought as much. I hope I didn't embarrass you by not remembering exactly." "No, you didn't embarrass me. I sort of look different now, so most people don't recognize me." "Oh, I see. So where did we meet? And what's your name, by the way? Sorry for not asking earlier." Summer smiled. "My name is Summer." Aaron ran through his head quickly, trying to remember where he had heard that name before. But before he could remember, Summer continued. "I am your ex-wife." Summer delivered the statement with a devilish smile. She watched him take a few steps back, saw his eyes light up, saw his mouth open in surprise. She noticed all the twists and turns in his face. As he finally recognized her, Aaron Thompson listened to the words that echoed out of her mouth. He heard them, knew what they meant, but struggled to get the full picture. Yes, he had known she looked familiar, and he had been struggling to remember where. But what was more important at that time was the way he had started to heat up, right from when he saw her at the reception. My God, he had thought, she had the most beautiful body. Even though she was wearing a suit and all, he could see past that. He had stayed long enough around lawyers and corporate folks, so he could easily make out a woman's body from her corporate wear. Not that he cared much for other women, he was after all engaged to Vivian, but this morning he had felt a passionate rush up his spine. Immediately he laid his eyes on her. That's part of the reason he had helped her, part of the reason he called her to his office, until she said those words. Then he remembered. 4 years ago, he had married Summer, impulsively. And they had annulled the union 2 days after. But Summer had looked different then. Very different. There was no way he would have been able to pin her to that person. 'Cause this Summer he was looking at, the one standing right there in his office, was at least 70 pounds lighter in weight than she was 4 years ago. I'm sorry. I didn't recognize you, he told her, his hands running through his hair. You look different, amazing by the way. Summer smiled. She had been getting that a lot. Ever since she switched up her looks and started to take her health seriously. She had gone from a size 20 to a size 6. So a lot of people didn't recognize her, except those who had seen her go through the process. That fine, she replied. So you are in law school now? He asked, his disbelief still written all over. Yes, I am. I'm in my finals. She was still standing by the door. Aaron gestured towards her. My apologies, please take a seat, he offered. No thanks. I should be getting back. I have to get back to my hotel. I have a late flight back to Boston. Boston? He raised his eyebrows. Yes, Harvard Law. Impressive. I was at Harvard Law too. Almost all our employees are from there. It was something the firm was known for. They only hired the best candidates from the best school. You must have been really good for Vivian to offer you the job. Yes, I guess. Thanks for your help again. Sure, anytime. Do you mind if I see you, say, at lunch? We could catch up, he offered. Summer shook her head. I'm sorry, Aaron. I don't think that's a good idea. She moved from one foot to the other, still clutching her briefcase and purse in front of her. Okay? Sure, if you insist. Aaron went back to his desk. He sat on his giant seat and swirled a little. So, I'll see you when you resume, he continued in his business tone. Yes. I'll see you when I resume. She turned her back to him and hurried out of his office, as fast as her legs could carry her. As she entered the elevator, Summer grabbed the support by the wall of the elevator. She almost buckled. Gosh, he had the most insane effect on her. The devil must be playing tricks on me, she said to herself. As the elevator descended to the ground floor, she hurried onto the street and hailed the first available taxi she saw. She got in. Swiftly. She was so fast, she almost felt dizzy from the speed. Where to? The driver asked her as she got in. She gave the driver Ava's address. Summer was supposed to see Ava before leaving town. As the cab drove off, Summer sank into the back seat and let out a big sigh. Aaron watched her hurry away. He stood to look into the street as she left the building. Aaron was astonished to say the least. He had been simply blown away. She was beautiful, by all standards. But what was more, he was attracted to her. Hell, he was more than attracted to her. He moved the thought away. He was engaged to Vivian. He had to stop thinking of other women, but what if? He brushed the thought away again. She had been hired in this office, and one thing Aaron never did was to get involved with anyone in the office. Except for Vivian, of course. He blew out some steam, not allowing himself to think about how he had gotten entangled with Vivian. An entanglement he was trying to get out of. But no one knew that, except his mom. Summer's cab pulled up at Ava's home. It was a large house, just as Summer had expected. It was spread out across large acres of land. It looked modern with a touch of history. Ava was waiting by the entrance. She had already texted her, "Congratulations," Ava yelled, as Summer got out of the car. "So we get to intern together. How exciting, come here, girl." The friends hugged each other. "Thanks, Ava. And thanks for the phone call. You practically saved my law career," Summer teased. "Come off it. You would have gotten in elsewhere. You are the best student in the class." "Well, you are right about that," Summer responded with laughter. The friends entered the house and went straight to Ava's bedroom. "So tell me, wasn't Vivian pissed? I hear she's very mean and not so nice." "Ava," Summer called out. "You haven't even resumed the job and here you are already peddling office gossip." Ava laughed. Her high-pitched soprano laughter. "It's not gossip. Remember Jason? He works there, silly. He filled me in." Summer nodded. She remembered Jason. He was in his 3rd year at Harvard when she had come in as a freshman. "So how was she?" "Mean," Ava continued. "There was no way she was letting go of the gossip. She wasn't mean, at least not to me. But then, I don't work for her yet. She didn't like that I was late though, but Aaron put in a word for me. He told her that he was responsible for my lateness, and so she wasn't angry with me. If anything, I think she was pleasant." "Aaron? Who's that?" "He is a senior partner, tall, blue eyes, broad shoulders." Ava cut her off. "You mean Mr. Thompson?" Ava asked. "Yes. Come on, girl," Ava teased as she poked Summer at her sides. "Aren't you the slutty little one? You are already on a first-name basis with him." Summer rolled her eyes. "Come off it, Ava. Can you please try to be serious for once?" Summer shot her dagger eyes. "Okay. But I also heard that." Ava started to fill in on another gossip. "Ava," Summer yelled. Ava laughed. But she didn't stop. "I know you are interested. Stop pretending." "Okay. I am. Fill me in." Summer inched closer to her friend. Of course, she was interested in the gossip. She had a history with the guy in question, so why shouldn't she be? "Okay. So Jason says that he is a bit of a ladies' man. He is in and out of all the clubs and whatnot. You know he is also super rich, like billionaire rich. He has his jet, flies the ladies in and out of the country for the weekends. He is basically a rich playboy." Summer almost did not believe the last part. She believed the ladies' man part. He had the looks. But the billionaire rich, how is he a billionaire? Yet works for Barber and Barber, Summer queried. "Well, I have met him before, a long time ago, briefly though." "You have? When, where? Why haven't you told me this before?" "Because I didn't know he worked there. I didn't even know much about him. I knew his name, and he owned a bike, but that's it." "So where did you meet him? Or how do you know him?" Ava probed. "I used to be married to him." "What did you just say?" Ava heard the words, knew what they meant, but still struggled to comprehend what Summer had just said. What did her friend mean by saying I was married to him? Summer had mentioned to her before that she had been almost married. Summer never mentioned being married at any time. So this sentence, the one Summer just delivered, felt a bit off to her. "Well, we were married, for 2 days tops, and the marriage was annulled, no big deal. We didn't keep in touch after then." Summer explained. "Summer, I'm going to need more than that." "What do you mean married for 2 days? And how come you never mentioned this?" "Well, that's because I didn't remember it afterward. It was almost an insignificant event, a wedding." "How can that be insignificant? You told me about Steven, the guy you almost got married to. How did you forget to tell me about the guy you actually got married to?" "I almost do not believe you." And that was true. Ava didn't believe her friend. Summer liked to joke around a lot. Maybe this was one of her jokes. "Okay, Ava, let's circle back. I was married to him. And yes, I was almost married to someone else. So let me just circle back and tell you how it all went, okay?" "Okay, I'm here for all the juicy stories." Ava rolled her eyes dramatically. Then, Summer filled her in. And this was what she told her. 4 years ago. It was Summer's 20th birthday and her wedding day. She was getting married to Steven, the captain of the football team back when she was in high school. Summer and Steven weren't buddies in school. Far from that. Summer was the kid a lot of people picked on, mainly because of her weight. As a kid, Summer had always been on the heavier side when it came to her weight, and she was bullied a lot. Summer and Steven didn't run in the same circle, but she secretly had a crush on him. Even though he never really knew who she was. But after high school, about 3 years after, while Summer was waitressing at a local pub, Steven came in. He was a regular customer at the pub. Steven had gone on to college and was on the soccer team of his university. He was by standards doing well for himself. Summer's heart had skipped the first day Steven walked into the pub, and when she took his order, he seemed to recognize her. Summer couldn't believe it. She had felt invisible to him in school, but then he must have noticed her, even if it was from the back of his mind. Summer had been flattered. To even have someone like Steven looking at her. And Steven, being the player that he was, had taken advantage of that. A quick romance ensued between the two. He was the first boyfriend Summer ever had. The first person to even look her way, so she ignored all the red flags. And she even asked him to marry her. Yes, she had gotten down on one knee and proposed to him. Steven obliged. He agreed to the proposal, and so, Summer planned a wedding. It was supposed to be perfect, supposed to be her happiest day. Her parents tried to stop her, but she wasn't having it. She was an adult and knew exactly what she was doing. That was what she thought anyway, until the wedding day. Friends and families were gathered. The ceremony was about to start. The groom was nowhere to be found. The guest Chad started whispering. Summer was getting frantic. Was Steven not going to show up? To say the least, her heart was torn into pieces when he still hadn't shown up. 30 minutes after. He wasn't taking his calls either, so Summer had grabbed her keys and ran off to his hotel room. She banged on the door as soon as she got there. There had to be something wrong with him. There was no other explanation, but nothing was wrong with him. In fact, someone else answered the door. A brunette, in his t-shirt. There he was. Sprawled on the bed in no clothes. Her groom, her soon-to-be husband, Summer, had stormed into the room. "Oh my God, Steven," she cried. He smirked. Oh, the audacity. There wasn't any remorse, any guilt, not even sympathy. If anything, he looked amused. "Hey, Summer, I'm sorry I didn't show up. Are the guests gone now?" he asked her carelessly. "Steven, what on earth is going on here? And who is this girl in your shirt?" "That's Amber. And why is she here with you? On our wedding day? Why do you think Summer? What did you think? Did you really believe I was going to go through with it? I have practically been absent the whole time, distant, even, but you refused to get it. Why didn't you just tell me? Why didn't you just say no when I asked you to marry me? Because I didn't want to embarrass you. Summer, you were down on your knee and all that, looking all pitiful. I didn't want to break your heart, and this. What do you think this is? Aren't you breaking my heart still? My family is gathered. My friends are there. Why did you wait till today?" Steven started to get dressed. "Well, my family aren't there. My friends aren't there too. Heck, your little brother is standing as my best man because I didn't have one. You practically planned the whole wedding yourself." Steven took a pause and continued, "I didn't wait till today. I told you so many times. I told you I wasn't ready yet. But you obviously didn't listen, and you can't claim not to know that I had other girls around. You've seen me with them before, so why act surprised now?" Summer started to cry. The door to the hotel room was still open. Some hotel guests had heard the noise, and 3 of them were standing outside the door, watching the drama ensue. But Summer didn't care. She couldn't be embarrassed anymore. She had already taken a lot. "Okay. Please, can you just come with me? To the wedding? We could figure things out tomorrow. Let's do this today, and then we talk about everything tomorrow," she pleaded. "Summer, you still aren't listening. I don't want to do this. I don't want to marry you. Not now, not ever." Stephen practically screamed the words. Summer cried and started to walk out. Then a guy by the door grabbed her and took her to the bathroom. Hey, look at me. He pulled her face up and she listened. He wiped her tears. Why do you want to marry that dickhead? Huh, he queried. I don't even know why. You need to figure it out yourself. And your life. You are beautiful and worthy of love. Don't let anyone tell you any different. The stranger said. She nodded. Now tell me what you want to do. He asked her. I just need to get through today. I need a groom. I want to get married. She cried. She was just saying words, covered in tears, too embarrassed. How was she going to face her friends still at the wedding venue? She had been laughed at and mocked her whole life. She didn't want any more of that. She wanted a happy ending. You don't have to go back to your wedding. You could take off from here. Text your parents, but I'll be embarrassing them. I don't want that, so what do you want that's possible? 'Cause that guy back there isn't getting married to you. I don't know. She cried some more. He wanted to help her. She was just a kid. And so helpless. You know what? How about me? I can be your groom. Just for today. We can get married today and have it annulled tomorrow, he suggested. He was a risk-taker and loved adventure. What? Is that even possible? She asked through her tears. Yes, it is. I am a lawyer. I know what I'm talking about. Okay, let's do that. She hadn't given it much thought. Okay, let's do that. We'll give your guests a wedding to attend and you'll get your happy day, okay? Okay. What's your name, though? She blew her nose after asking the question. He moved back and tucked his hands in his pockets. My name is Aaron. Aaron Thompson. Nice to meet you, Aaron. Silence. Absolute silence for more than 2 minutes after Summer finished telling her friend Ava the story. None of them said a word. For Ava, it was a lot to process. For Summer, it was because she remembered her past. A past she had buried deep down within her. She was no more that person. The obese, insecure waitress girl who just wanted someone to look at her. That incident had changed her. Totally, she had lost weight, gone back to school, and had gotten her confidence back. Now, she was almost a lawyer and the best student in her class. Harvard was already offering her a position to teach. But Summer didn't belong in the classroom, at least not yet. She wanted to be out there, in the court fighting for what she believed in. Now, she was in control of her weight and her health. She exercised and ate right, had a skincare routine. She also practiced yoga and a bunch of other stuff. Now, she was a confident 24-year-old girl, and she was going to change the world. But as for love, well, she didn't allow herself to get involved with anyone. Not for too long anyway. She was going to get herself in order. Love could wait. That was Summer's new motto. Ava was the first to break the silence. So, what happened after the wedding? She asked her friend. Nothing. We hopped on his bike and drove around. Found some restaurants, had some food. Went to the club at night, and we ended up in his hotel room. And? Ava poked. She felt there was more. There had to be, right? Distress girl, hot sexy guy, on the same bed. That wasn't the end. That was the thought running in Ava's head, but there wasn't any more. And Summer told her that, and we slept. Summer threw her hands up. She knew what Ava was asking her. You mean, you didn't have sex? No, Ava, we didn't. I was too distraught. He was a perfect gentleman. Beau? And the next day, we pretty much repeated the same thing. We slept till noon. We talked a lot too. Well, I talked. He listened. Then we went out again at night. By the next morning he handed me some papers, annulling our fake marriage. I signed. Thanked him and I left. Oh my God. I'm so sorry, Summer. That must have been traumatizing for you. Yes, it was. But my mom was there for me. She was my rock. But that experience helped me. I vowed not to be that person anymore. I got my life back in order, And here I am today. Ava smiled. Summer definitely had her life in order. They had been friends since freshman year, and she knew Summer better than anyone else, but in Ava's opinion, Summer also had a bit of a commitment issue. She never stuck with anyone for too long. Summer claimed she didn't want any distractions from school, and Ava had believed her, but after hearing this backstory, Ava understood better. She sort of knew why her friend was hesitant about getting serious with anyone, so she smiled again and nodded her head. You know, with this body, it's hard to imagine you as an obese person. You look so good. Ha ha ha. Well, I put in the work. All those gym hours have to pay off one way or the other, right? Yay, they certainly do. So, back to Mr. Hot Guy. How are you going to deal with working with him, with your history and all? Summer laughed. History. There isn't any history. He is my boss, a partner at a law firm I intend to work at for the long term. Plus, he is engaged to my direct boss, who just happens to co-own the company. Come on, Ava. As long as I'm concerned, that event is buried. My career is more important to me now. Ava rolled her eyes. She snorted. Of course your career is important, and so is mine. We didn't go to Harvard, only to end up as mistresses to powerful men. Summer laughed out loud. Mistresses indeed, hell no. But how is he a billionaire, though? I know he must be loaded from what he makes at the firm, but certainly not billionaire kind of money. Summer asked. I don't have all the answers. Maybe Jason will fill us in. But from what I've heard so far, I think his dad left him a shitload of money. Good for him. You know what? We could just FaceTime Jason. Find out what he knows. Ava. It doesn't matter. We have to be careful with office gossip. We shouldn't mess up our internship positions, you know. Summer objected. Come off it, Summer. Jason is one of us. Ava had already started dialing Jason. And that was Ava. It seemed she missed her true calling. She could easily carry out the functions of a journalist or a writer for a gossip blog. Jason didn't pick at the first ring. But she dialed again, chewing her lower lip as she waited for him to take the call. 3 rings later. Jason picked. Hey, Ava. How are you doing? His face came through on FaceTime. His face was lit up in smiles. Jason, I've been calling. Ava made a fuss. Sorry about that. Just got off for lunch. I was in a meeting earlier with Thompson. Oh, you were. What a coincidence. Ava giggled and turned around to look at Summer. Jason saw her turn. Who is with you? He asked. Summer peeped at the phone screen from behind Ava. It is me, Jason. Summer. Hey, Summer. I saw you today at the firm. Didn't get a chance to talk to you before you left. How are you? Jason asked. Great, Jason. Did you get the intern position? He questioned. Yes, I did. Jason, thanks. Whoa, congrats, girl. We should celebrate it tonight. Sorry. I have a late flight back to Boston. I'm going to go sort out all my stuff. Okay, that's fine. Maybe when you come back. Sure. That will be nice. Ava nudged Summer to the side and took over the conversation again. So we wanted to ask you about Thompson. Ooh. What about him? Whoa, wait a minute. Don't tell me you have the eyes for him. Jason ran his hands over his face. No. Come on. We are smarter than that. You had better not. Vivian Barber announced their engagement to the firm this morning. You really should stay away from her man. Vivian can be a bitch sometimes. Okay, Jason. None of us is interested. Trust me, we were just wondering about him being a rich playboy and all. Yeah, it's true. The guy has a double life. He is a respectable lawyer by day and a ladies' man by night. Plus, his pops left him a bunch of investments and shareholdings in the biggest firms across the country. He sits on so many boards he doesn't even have to work. I guess he is just passionate about law. Jason was very generous in his information, and so willing to share. Summer could see him as the office gossip. So when do you guys start? Jason asked them, changing the topic. We are to resume on Monday. Oh, see you then. And welcome to Barber & Barber LLP. It's going to be fun. Thank you, Jason. They chorused. Hi, honey. Vivian breezed into Aaron's office. Oh, hi. I didn't hear you walk up, he replied as he swirled his chair around. She came up close to him and sat on his desk. Close to him, Aaron leaned into his seat. Hope you are set for dinner today with your mum? She spoke seductively. That was how she addressed him most of the time. It was almost as if she had a special voice just for him. Well, do I have a choice? Aaron raised his eyes with a grin on his face. She laughed. Of course you don't. You have been pushing it long enough. She isn't going to let you back out of this one. Oh well, then that's your answer. I'm set, I guess. He tried to swirl his chair around again. But she stopped him with her foot. She raised her leg a little and ran it down his legs. He drew back. Stop it, Vivian. Someone could see us, and why am I supposed to care if they do? We are out of the closet. Our relationship isn't a secret anymore. Vivian was referring to the announcement she made earlier that morning. She suspected that some members of the firm already knew about her little rendezvous with Aaron, so she had decided to bring it out in the open. A decision she had made, alone, a decision Aaron wasn't exactly happy about, but she didn't care. He was going to get over it eventually, but Aaron had other ideas. He wasn't going to let her get away with that so easily. Viv, you had no right to do that, especially when we hadn't talked about it yet. That wasn't your call to make. Aaron, whose call was it then? Yours. Her tone was defensive. She was beginning to get upset. Well, yes, it was my call. Our call. Not just you. I wasn't ready to let the office know about us. I'm a partner in this firm. My love life shouldn't concern everyone. Partner, did he say partner? Vivian thought of 1,000 words she could say in response to that. For one, she was a partner too. The youngest one at that. She hadn't gotten to that position by sheer luck, neither had she gotten there because of her parents. It had been her determination and hard work. She had worked for every case as if her life depended on it. And now, it was time to be in love, and she was going to embrace it with everything in her. So, Vivian held herself back. She didn't respond. There was no point getting all riled up by him. She knew what she wanted, and she was going for it. His feelings, be damned. She was going to be Mrs. Thompson, whether he liked it or not. Eventually, he would come around. He had to. He had too much potential, and she couldn't just walk away from them. Vivian was more concerned about her future and what it held for her. She was a woman with big dreams, and she needed someone like Aaron to make her dreams come true. He was the right fit for her. He had the money, he had the career, he had the political family, and what was more, she had his mother on her side. Vivian, just like Aaron's mother, wanted to get to the highest political office ever, the presidency. And she needed someone like Aaron when she took the office, so she was going to put up with whatever it is she had to put up with, love or not. Aaron Thompson was hers. Vivian took a pause, turned down her voice, and replied sweetly, Aaron, honey, I'm sorry I told the team. I was just so excited about our upcoming wedding. Okay, now be a good boy and pick me up at 7 p.m. and bring flowers. We are meeting your mother tonight. We shouldn't be late. She got up from his desk, cleaned off the imaginary dust from her skirt, and walked out of his office in her stiletto heels. Her head held up high, her shoulders straight. Aaron watched her leave. He waved her off and turned his chair back. He was going to marry her. Yes, but they both knew that it wasn't a love story. They were a perfect match. A match his mother desperately needed. A match he suspected that Vivian needed too. His mother. Aaron snorted as he thought of her. Even though Vivian had denied it several times, Aaron knew that his mother had set them up. Aaron hadn't worked at Barber & Barber for too long. He had joined the firm from another firm, and he could have sworn that Vivian had eyes for him immediately. Suddenly, she was everywhere he was, at his gym, when he played golf, at the club, and even at his mother's church. And what was more, his mother had endorsed the union. Aaron's mother, Diane, needed the union more than he did. She had always been an ambitious woman, but she had put her career on hold so she could raise him, and now Diane was running for political office. But Diane didn't look very good in the media. She did her job well, and was more than qualified to hold any major political office she chooses. But the optics weren't great. A single mother with a son who was a sworn bachelor. A son who was known as the Washington hottest bad boy bachelor. Even though he had a successful law career, the odds were against her. Her running mates had the perfect family structure, and so Diane was trying hard to beat that. But love or marriage wasn't an option for her anymore. She had been married twice, but none of the relationships survived. Her first husband was Aaron's dad, a wealthy investment fund's billionaire who had died when Aaron was 7 years old, leaving Diane alone to care for their child. After his death, all his investments and company shares went to Aaron and Diane. Diane had spent most of her time raising Aaron and managing her late husband's assets. And after some years, she decided to get married again, and she did. For 2 years. Diane enjoyed her almost perfect new husband, or so she thought. Not until Aaron opened up to her that he was been molested sexually by Diane's husband. Diane had kicked her husband out. She never got married again. She focused fully on managing her late husband's assets and raising Aaron. By the time Aaron was 18, Diane was ready for some adventures of her own. And her number one dream was to run for the highest office in the country. The presidency. Yes, that's right. Diane wanted to be the first female president of the United States of America. She was already on her way to becoming governor. And she was very good. She had a chance, but the media, they needed to see stability. They needed to see a perfect family structure. If not from her, then from her son. Diane tried to get Aaron to settle down. Find a nice girl and all. But he wasn't having it. If anything, Aaron had even sworn to be a bachelor for life, so Diane made it her mission to find her son a girl. A respectable one that had political backing. And she found Vivian Barber. I'm so excited, Summer. Ava danced around. It was Friday evening. Summer was back from Boston to Washington, and she was at Ava's place. The two friends had agreed to stay in Ava's parents' basement for the period of their internship, which was for 3 months. It was a private basement, and they had their entry, kitchen, washrooms, etc. I'm excited, to Ava. We have been roommates for 3 years now. This just makes perfect sense. Plus, we don't have to pay any rent. Exactly. Oh my goodness. We are going to have so much fun together, working together and all. Yeah, we are. I'm excited to resume at Barber and Barber LLP. Yeah, me too. Summer replied. The friends were fixing up the place. It was a 2-bed, beautifully furnished basement. You know what, Ava? I feel like I like Washington. And I may want to come back here fully, for full-time practice. Oh yay, me too. I love the city. I was born in New York though, but my parents bounced around a lot and ended up here. It has been my home since I was 5 years old. I really don't see myself living anywhere else. Ava responded. Summer smiled. Ava was her closest friend and she was glad for their friendship. Maybe we can set up our own law firm eventually. Summer teased. Ava rolled her eyes. Wouldn't that be nice? She laughed hard, and Summer laughed too. The friend finished off and went on to have a wonderful weekend together, and by Monday morning, they both resumed Barber and Barber LLP for their 3 months internship. Welcome, ladies. I'm your tour guide for the day. You both are going to shadow me today before going on to your respective teams tomorrow. Jason started his speech to Summer and Ava. Summer laughed. Ava laughed too. Serious, ladies. This is the office, and we take things seriously here. Jason was teasing. His eyes held the laughter in his heart. He was trying to be serious though, but he knew both girls and it was just funny that he was coincidentally assigned to show them around. Okay, girls, let's cut through the chase. Then he burst out laughing too. I'm just going to show you girls around, and he continued his speech as he showed them around the office. And he introduced them to the team members. Then he took them to see the major partners. They went from one office to the next as Jason introduced them around the firm. They got to Vivian's office. Hi, Miss Barber. These are our new interns, Summer and Ava. I think you've met Summer already. Vivian did not look up from her computer screen when she responded. Yes, I have. Welcome, ladies. Now get to work. That was all. She kept on typing on her computer. Jason gestured for them to leave, and the three of them walked out of her office. What was that? Ava whispered to Jason. That was a rude shock to her. They had gotten warm welcomes from everyone, including all the other partners they had already seen. So why was Vivian curt to them? Jason whispered back. He had his hands to the side of his mouth as he bent dramatically to reach Ava's ears. I told you she could be a beast of it sometimes. Summer rolled her eyes. Oh well, she was in for a treat. They got to the last office. Aaron Thompson's office. Aaron was on the phone when the three entered his office. He gestured for them to sit as he continued his conversation. He turned his chair around, his back to them, and kept talking on the phone. Jason, Ava, and Summer sat for 2 more minutes as he continued his conversation. There was an awkward silence as they listened in, and he didn't seem to mind. Although it wasn't a personal phone call, the three still felt awkward listening. Then, he finished and turned around. Sorry about that. He broke the silence. Oh, not a problem, Mr. Thompson. Jason replied on behalf of the group. Then he continued, I'm here to introduce our new interns to you, Summer and Ava. Oh, weren't they 6 interns taken in? Where are the others? Aaron asked. We are doing the introductions in groups of 2s. It's more personal that way. The other set would be introduced tomorrow, and the last set on Wednesday. That way every team member gets a chance to have a chat with the interns if they want to. Okay, that's good, Aaron said. Welcome to Barber LLP. I'm sure you'll enjoy it here. Thank you. Ava and Summer chorused. So tell me a little about yourselves. I'll start with you, Ava, Aaron said. Ava was ready. A couple of other team members had asked them the same question, and so she already had a speech rehearsed and all. She delivered the same speech, which basically consisted of her education and everything that led up to her decision to become a lawyer. Aaron Thompson listened closely. He nodded his head as Summer spoke. Then, he turned to Summer and asked her the same question. Like Ava, Summer had also gotten the same question from some other team members, even from some partners too. And like Ava, she had her speech ready. But there was only one problem: she couldn't deliver the speech. Summer opened her mouth, but no words came out. She even started to stutter. She got frustrated and stopped talking altogether. Jason's feet were nudging Summer from beneath the table. Like what the hell? Aaron Thompson was the top partner in the firm, apart from Brian and Emily Barber. So, if anyone needed to make any good impressions, it was with Mr. Thompson. So why on earth was Summer stuttering? And then, Aaron stretched out his hands and touched Summer's hand that was placed on his table. It's okay. You don't have to be nervous. Okay. We are just lawyers, he teased. Summer jerked her hand off the table immediately, and she looked away. She was starting to blush, her cheeks turning red. Okay, Jason. Thanks for the introduction. Now you guys need to get to work. Sure, thanks. They all got up to leave. Wait, Jason barked. They stopped. Please wait behind. Summer, I need to speak with you alone. Okay, Summer replied as she sat back down. Ava threw a quick reassuring look at her friend as she hurried out of the office, followed by Jason. Summer sat back on the seat. All her nerves were queasy. Questions were flooding through her head, and she certainly didn't want to be alone with him in the office. Summer was sort of embarrassed at what was going on. She felt uneasy, embarrassed even. This man sitting right there was a reminder of who she used to be, where she used to be, and Summer had fought so hard not to be that person anymore. For minutes, Aaron stared at her, not saying a word. Truth was that Aaron had no freaking idea why he had asked her to wait behind. Yes, he wanted to talk to her, but certainly not on her first day. He had surprisingly thought about her for most of the week, ever since she had walked out of his office the previous week. And he had looked forward to her resumption as if it was his first day too. Aaron had to admit to himself that he was nervous about her working with him. and he couldn't place why. She was a beautiful woman, but so were many others. Aaron had his fair share of women and girls flocking around him. He was a ladies' man, and he knew it. Girls practically threw themselves around him. Even at the office, but he was always quick to push them off. There was no way he was getting involved with office romance. All the girls he ever got involved with were always out of the office, but he couldn't just let her go. He wanted to talk to Summer to find out what she had been up to. He was impressed by how she had turned her life around in 4 years. From being an obese waitress to being a smoky hot Harvard law grad. The transformation was epic. He finally broke the silence. So tell me, how are you generally? I'm good, Mr. Thompson. Summer looked away. Aaron noticed. He glanced around briefly and had a second thought. This was Summer's first day here. He didn't want to be a distraction to her, even though he wanted to talk with her. So he thought of seeing her outside the office then. Okay. Back to my request, how about we get a drink later today? And please call me Aaron. Summer wanted to say no, but she also wanted to say yes. In her inner thoughts, she knew how inappropriate it was, having drinks with a partner at the firm she just started working at, but she also lied to herself that it was harmless. And this was Washington. If she didn't get a full-time position at Barber, she was going to need connections from top industry folks. And Aaron just happened to be one of those folks. So Summer lied to herself. She told herself it was strictly business, and she opened her mouth and said the words. The same words she knew she shouldn't be saying. Sure, that sounds fine. She bit her lower lip. Oh great then. Let me know when you close off for the day. Okay, sir. Call me Aaron, please. He reminded her. She smiled. Okay, Aaron. She got up to leave. Aaron watched her go. He could think of 1,000 reasons why hanging out with her was a bad idea. But the topmost one was that he was a partner, and she was an intern. Any inappropriate thing could open him up to harassment claims. But then, that was a risk he was willing to take. If anything, he was a risk taker. Plus he was just being nice. They had a history together, even though it was a short one, so drinks couldn't do any harm. After a long, eventful, and fulfilling day, the friends, Ava and Summer, were through for the day. Ava bounced over to Summer's desk. Hey lawyer, she teased. Time to go home. Let's share a cab home. Summer smiled. She hadn't told Ava about her meeting with Aaron, so she dragged Ava to the restroom, and then she shared it with her. I can't go yet. Maybe you should go alone. What do you mean? Are you already working extra? It is our first day and Jason advised we finish off as quickly as we can. Aren't you finished? Ava asked. I am finished. Vivian gave me some files, but I'm done with them already. So? What is the problem? The problem is that Aaron asked me to get drinks with him at the close of work today. What? Summer, Ava yelled. Hey Ava, please keep it down. Summer held Ava's hands as she tried to shush her friend. Don't shush me, Summer. Do I need to remind you why this is a bad idea? It is just drinks, Ava. Nothing more. It starts from drinks, Summer. And my parents worked really hard at getting you this spot. You shouldn't mess it up. So you have to pull the parents' card, right? I'm sorry. I don't mean to. But you worked so hard to get here, and I don't want you to screw up. You deserve this, and remember we said no distractions, right? I know. And trust me, he isn't a distraction. It is nothing, Ava. Trust me. Plus he is Vivian's fiancé, so I'm certain he doesn't have any ulterior motives. Well, I wouldn't be too sure about that. Ava objected, Jason said. Summer cut her off. There you go again with the office gossip. Jason said this and that. You need to be careful too. Ava laughed. Yay, true. I should be careful. My parents worked hard at getting me this spot too. It was Summer's turn to laugh. Okay. This is a one-time thing, okay? Just to catch up. He helped me out 4 years ago. I only think it is fair that I have a drink with him. And then, it will be strictly office between us. Okay. I hope those puppy eyes of Haas don't turn you around. Ava joked. Puppy eyes. Ava feigned ignorance. Haha. Ava laughed. Okay, I'll see you later tonight then. Text me, please. Let me know what's going on at every point, okay? Okay. Gossip girl, Summer taunted jokingly. The friends walked back to Ava's desk, where Aaron was already waiting. Summer. He said her name, with his hands in his pockets. Hi, Mr. Thompson. Ava greeted him as they got to him. Hi, Ava, he responded. His hands were still in his pockets. Bye, Summer, Ava said, as she walked past her friend and out of the office. Hi. Summer looked at him sheepishly. She started to roll her hair, something she did when she was extremely nervous. Are you ready? He asked her. Yes, I am. I'm just clearing my desk. She started to gather her things from her table. Okay. Sure, meet me downstairs, by the parking stalls. Okay, I will, she said, and he walked away. Summer watched his back. As he walked, he had giant strides, and he carried an air of importance with him. As he strolled out, she caught herself. Again, gosh, such devilish thoughts. She couldn't be having such thoughts, but damn. He was fine. She caught herself again. What the hell? Summer let out a big sigh and picked up her briefcase. And she said a silent prayer in her heart. God, please help me. Aaron pulled up at a VIP club downtown. He drove straight to his VIP entrance, and the valet took his keys. Aaron led Summer in. They were the only ones in a particular VIP corner. The music was good and loud. Summer's nostrils caught the smell of the scented candles in the room. They smelled exotic and sensual at the same time. Summer sat across Aaron, like a teenage schoolgirl. Her legs clasped together, her hands stretched out on her laps, her back straight up. She was tensed. And he noticed. You look tensed. Aaron said out loud through the music. Summer didn't hear him. What? She cupped her hands at the back of her ears, leaned forward as she strained to listen. You look tensed, Aaron said again. This time a little louder than the first time. Oh. Summer relaxed into the seat. She twisted her neck around and looked away. A waiter arrived with a bucket of ice and 2 bottles of an exotic brand of wine. Summer's eyes went to the label. She recognized the name. Her eyes opened in shock. The bottles of wine were at least worth $5,000 each. She knew that because one of her law professors had a thing for wine and often talked about it, so she had Googled wine brands a while ago. Just out of curiosity, maybe it wasn't it, it couldn't be, right? That was almost twice her monthly earnings as an intern. There was no way a partner could afford that. Right? But oh, she remembered. He was not just a law firm partner. He was also super rich. Summer didn't want to drink. At least she had not intended to. But she didn't stop the waiter, as he pulled up 2 glasses and poured out the wine. One for her, and one for Aaron. The waiter left. Aaron took a sip of his immediately. He got up and took off his jacket and his tie. He opened up the first 3 buttons of his shirt as well. Her eyes went to his chest. Damn, he must be a gym rat as well. He looked so toned, so big, so... Summer caught herself in her thoughts. Girl, concentrate, please. So... She looked away. Aaron noticed Summer. She still looked tense. He wanted her to ease up a little. He wasn't here as her boss. He simply wanted to get to know her and what she had been up to in the last 4 years. He told himself that his intentions were genuine. Even though somewhere, he knew it wasn't exactly the truth. He took another sip. She was still looking away. Hey, Summer, he called her. She must have heard because she looked at him and smiled. You haven't touched your drink. He pointed at her wine glass, which was still full. Summer leaned forward and spoke loudly so he could hear her. It's a Monday night, Aaron, and I have to be at work tomorrow. So I shouldn't be drinking and I shouldn't be out late. Aaron laughed that wicked laugh. Yes, it was a Monday night. The club was not as busy as other days. But the way she said the words made him laugh. He had a job as well, right? So he had to work too. I have to be at work tomorrow too, he replied. He leaned into his seat and draped his arms across the seat. Well, you are the boss, Summer yelled back. The music seemed had gotten louder. I didn't become a partner by being careless with work, you know. Aaron teased. His eyes were full of mischief. Of course, that wasn't what I meant. I simply... Summer tried to correct the impression. Nah, it's fine. Aaron waved her to stop, but you should really taste your drink though. I promise you will like it. He suggested as he took a third sip from his wine glass. How are you getting home? Summer asked him. She assumed that he wasn't going to drive since he was drinking. They have standby chauffeurs that help with that. It's a VIP service for anyone who needs it, okay? Summer understood. That must be a rich people thing, she thought. She took a sip of her wine. Gosh, the taste was explosive. Summer had never tasted anything like that before. She took another sip almost immediately. This time, a giant sip. Aaron smiled. He noticed as she took the big gulp. He noticed her neck, watched it as she took a big sip. Damn, she had the longest neck and perfect shoulder blades. She had also taken off her jacket, revealing her arms. Aaron watched her. Put the glass down. How does it taste? He spoke from his seat across the table. It tastes wonderful. I want some more. She had finished the contents of her glass cup already. She stretched out her arms to him, asking for more. No way, he refused to pour her another glass. You are working tomorrow, he mocked her. Summer laughed. Hell no. His eyes held a devilish grin and her insides quivered. Please, She pouted. Aaron obliged. He poured her another drink. How could he not? The way she pouted sent waves through his body, but he was alert. He was a smart guy and he knew he couldn't have anything to do with her. You look very good, Summer. Tell me what's been going on with you, he asked, trying to get back to the reason why he had asked her out. Thank you, Aaron. Summer started to talk about what she had been up to. Initially, Aaron listened. He heard everything she was saying, but somewhere within her speech he couldn't hear her anymore. She had turned down her voice and the loud music wasn't helping, so he moved closer to her. Very close even. I couldn't hear you from back there, he explained to her. He didn't want to make her feel uncomfortable. Summer nodded. She continued talking, then her favorite song came up. She didn't hear it at first because she was lost in her conversation with Aaron. But then her ears picked it, and her eyes widened. What? That's my favorite song, she confirmed to Aaron. He smiled. I know, he responded. You know? How? She asked him, surprise spread across her face. Well, it was your wedding entrance song 4 years ago. And you told me how much you loved it. Aaron reminded her. Her eyes went sober. Immediately, he panicked. She seemed upset, and he hadn't meant to upset her. He had specifically asked the DJ to play that song, just because she said she liked it. But looking at her facial expression go from excited to sad, Aaron wished he hadn't. I could ask them to turn it off if you don't like, he offered. Summer shot him a quick look. Oh no. It's fine. I like the song still, it just brings back memories. But not painful memories though. I'm over that. I'm glad I didn't go through with the wedding to that douchebag. Imagine how miserable my life would have been. She took a sip of her wine again. True, Aaron acknowledged. Summer raised her glass to a toast. Aaron raised his too. To not getting married to douchebags, she laughed as she spoke. She clicked her glass against Aaron's glass and she drained all the contents into her mouth. Aaron drank too. Then he watched her get up, and she started to dance. He was still sitting. Dance with me, she offered as she stretched out her hands to him. Aaron took her hands. And they both started dancing. Aaron watched her closely. She was obviously tipsy. They were already in the second bottle, but he knew that she had drunk way more than he had. He let her be. She seemed to be enjoying herself. They danced and drank some more. Then Summer staggered. Her heels sort of tilted, and she almost fell. But he caught her, his big strong arms wrapped around her. Hey, savior. You have a habit of saving me, she taunted after he caught her. Really? Aaron feigned bewilderment. Yay. You saved me from a wedding. You saved me at the interview, and now you saved me from falling. Summer was dizzy as she spoke. Aaron placed her gently back on the couch and sat beside her. Did I ever say thank you? She dragged her speech. She was very tipsy now. Yes, you did. Summer. Aaron signaled to the waiter to get the bill. It was time to get out of the club. Summer placed her head on his chest. She felt dizzy, her eyes were turning. She started to run her hands on his chest. She dipped them through the open button of his shirt. Summer. Erin stopped her and took her hands off his chest. Her warm hands on his body had started to turn him on, so he pulled them off and signaled the waiter. The waiter came to him. "Sir, put it on my tab, Samuel, and leave yourself a 10% tip." That was Erin, always generous with his tips. "Sure, sir. Thank you." Erin got up and carried Summer out of the club. The valet had already pulled out his car. He dropped Summer into the back seat. She was already asleep. Shit. He didn't have her address. There was only one place he could take her to. His house. Erin marched into his home, carrying Summer in his arms. She was still asleep. He carried her effortlessly, his big arms wrapped around her. Gosh, she was beautiful. And with her eyes closed, she looked so innocent, harmless even. He took her straight to his bedroom and placed her on the bed. Erin helped her out of her clothes and into one of his giant oversized shirts. She slept all through. He wondered why. Maybe she wasn't used to drinking. Maybe that was why she got knocked out. As he took off her dress, Erin took a look at her body, her curves, her breasts. Then he stopped. He chastised himself on how inappropriate that was. He quickly wore the shirt for her and exited the room. He went on to take a shower and got ready for bed. Erin wondered a bit about where to sleep. He could go to the guest room, but Summer could wake up at night, and she could be confused about where she was. He could also sleep on the giant sofa in his bedroom, but he wasn't used to sleeping on it, and he was definitely going to have a rough night if he chose that option. So Erin went for the third option, which was to climb into bed with her. That way she would know where she was when she woke up. He climbed the bed and snuggled close to her. His skin touched hers and he felt the warmth from her body. Erin lay awake for a long time. He hoped it didn't make things awkward between them at work. But then, he didn't expect any awkwardness really. After all, this wasn't the first time he had shared a bed with her. Summer must have sensed someone else on the bed because she draped her arms across his chest and she pulled herself close to him. She was still sleepy though, but then she spoke from her sleep. "Erin?" she asked. "Yes," he replied. She closed her eyes again. Erin was drifting to sleep when he felt Summer pressing her body against his. She started to caress him and even attempted to kiss him. He pulled away and held her off. She opened her eyes, sleepily, and pulled herself to him again. Erin could tell that she wasn't entirely awake. She wasn't conscious of what she was doing, and there was no way he was going to romance a drunk girl. "Erin?" She said his name like a question. "Yes, Summer, I want you to make love to me," she said through her sleep again. He heard the words and he almost turned red. Hell no. This wasn't happening. He gathered all the self-control he had in him. He wanted to take her right there, but he knew it was wrong, on all levels, and he wasn't going to do that to her. So Erin painfully dragged himself from the bed and made his way to his giant sofa. He was going to spend the rest of the night there. At 5 a.m., Summer's phone alarm went off. Yes. She still set her alarm at 5:00 because she had the habit of reading a bit and exercising before going to work. She opened her eyes unaware of her surroundings. She felt dizzy and a little hungover. Then she started to remember. Little by little, the events of the previous night played in her head. Shit. Erin heard the alarm as well, and he opened his eyes. He got up slowly from the sofa, but she was already in front of him. "Erin?" She said his name again, like a question. "Hi, Summer." Good morning, Erin." She sat beside him. "How did I get here? You were pretty wasted last night. And I didn't have your house address, so I brought you here." Summer scratched her eyes. She noticed that she was wearing his shirt. "Did we?" she asked. She couldn't bring herself to ask the exact question. Did one that was bugging at the back of her head. "No, Summer. I could never do that to you." "Do what?" "Get intimate with you when you aren't conscious." She nodded. "Thank you." "Erin, no problem. I should get you home. You need to be at work before 8 a.m. "Okay, I'll get dressed." Erin got up and left the room. She needed her privacy so she could get dressed. He went to the kitchen and started to brew a pot of coffee. Then he turned his stove. He needed to scramble some eggs. He was very hungry. Summer came into the kitchen. She stood by the door and watched him for a few seconds. His back was turned to her, but he felt her eyes on him. So he swirled around, frying pan in hand. "You want some eggs?" he asked her. "Sure. I don't mind some. I'm starving even." "Okay. Have a seat and I'll serve you some." Summer sat on one of the kitchen high chairs and watched him make breakfast. Nothing had ever looked so sexy. The way he stirred the eggs, poured the coffee out of the pot, everything. No wonder he was the ladies' man. They both ate their food in awkward silence. And soon after he took her home. "Thank you, Erin. I had a good time last night." "Me too, Summer. I hope things don't get awkward between us at work." "Of course not. Why should they? We've done this before, remember?" she teased. "Yay, we have. But I'm here for you, okay? Anytime you need me." "Thank you. I'll remember that." Erin eased onto the street, and Summer got out of his car. She took the back road as she walked towards the house. She had deliberately refused to take a look at her phone all morning. She could guess how many text messages Ava would have left her already. Summer hurried into the basement, ready to face her friend.